Well, hello, hello, hello. So glad that you are joining in for another edition of Navigating Grief and Loss, brought to you by Jack Lavelle Coaching and Consulting Group. I'm so glad that you are tuning in on the World Wide Web all over the world, and we are coming to you live from the capital city of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. But I know that you are coming from all over the world. So, what I need you to do, yeah, if you've been a part of my weekly broadcast, but I need you to put in the comment section, if you would, just type in what city you're joining us from. I'm always interested to know who is being touched, who's being impacted, who's being encouraged. So if you would, place in the comments section what city you are joining us from. I know we have persons tuning in on several social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So glad to see you. Hey there, LinkedIn family. So glad that you are joining us on this wonderful day that we're going to talk about some poignant discussion topics. And let me just say this. I want to make sure that those of you that are tuning in, if you are tuning in and it's the replay, thank you. First of all, thank you for still tuning in. But also, thank you for putting hashtag replay in the comment section. Okay? So I'm so glad that you're stopping by, and I'm so glad that we have persons that are already sharing with us. Okay, Charvette Mitchell, so glad to have you, Charvette. Glad to see you. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate you. All right. So, I am Dr. Jacqueline White Maxwell, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Jack Lavelle Coaching and Consulting Group. I'm a certified grief recovery specialist, a certified substance abuse professional, a speaker, a transformational coach, and yes, an author. So, what is it that I do? Oh, I am so glad you asked. I motivate people to push through adversities, eradicate those misspoken impossibilities, and face the staggering impact of what we call destiny in completion. Okay, that's a lot, isn't it? The bottom line is people who work with me awaken those untapped dreams, celebrate relationships that may have been dormant for a while or never been developed, and then persons working with me leave saying, wow, I now see what was there all the time. So cultivating those seeds of greatness is what I call it. Yeah. Seeds that were there all the time, but just needed to be cultivated. So glad that you are joining in. Okay. So glad that you are part of this conversation. If you would put in the comment section what city you're joining us from. So we have a special guest, and I'm going to bring him from the virtual green room shortly. But I want to share that June is Men's Health Month. And throughout June, I have made an important decision to ensure that our men are acknowledged and honored. That's right. And I hope you're doing the same. Whether you're a male or female, I hope that you're doing the same because we want our men to take care of themselves, their physical health, their mental health, their spiritual health. And then also, speaking of honoring, I want to definitely dedicate this broadcast, especially to those who are fathers, because we are recognizing and honoring fathers. And that sort of brings me to a little bit towards our discussion for this evening. Our discussion for this evening. So, as I shared with you, I am a grief recovery specialist. And some of you said, grief? Did she say grief? Yeah, that's what I said, grief. But grief is the normal and natural response to loss of any kind. Think about it. Today, you might have lost something. And for a few minutes, a few moments, all day, you might have experienced grief, what we know as grief. But if you don't identify with that, maybe you recognize this. Grief is a change in a familiar pattern of behavior. Okay, any change in a familiar pattern of behavior. So think about that for a second as I introduce our guest. As I introduce our guest, and tonight's episode is entitled "Teen Sex, Adult Responsibility." Teen sex, adult responsibility. I told you you wanted to be a part of this one, and go on and share. Mhm. Because I know you're thinking about some persons who probably need to hear this. I'm going to give you a few minutes. Go on and share as well as like. Okay? All right. So let me introduce our guest. Sylvester H. Edwards Sr. is a certified master life coach, author, husband, father of six, and an ordained elder with over 25 years of experience holding various roles within ministry. He's passionate about changing the lives of the next generation of those committed to leading a successful life. In his book entitled Teen Sex, Adult Responsibility, Sylvester teaches teens to abstain from sex and encourages teen parents to understand that they can be successful and be good parents. Having been a teenage father at the age of 16, he draws upon his personal experiences as well as his ministry to encourage teen parents to not give up on life, to not give up on their child, and to not give up on their future. Wow. I want to welcome Mr. Sylvester Edwards.
Good
Hello,
evening.
sir.
Hello, how are you, Dr. Maxwell?
I am awesome. I am awesome. I'm excited to be a part of this conversation. It's so much to be said, so much to be said. And something that I had the opportunity of sharing with you before, and I want to kind of start there. You know, we talk about stressors that adults experience, and we
Yes,
even have scales of stressors. You know, we
yes.
say, you know, at the top of the scale, adults often have the death of a spouse, and then next maybe it's divorce, marital separation from a mate. You know, it goes all the way down. You know, it might be obtaining or gaining new family members,
Mm,
um, empty nest. So we, you know, we often recognize and really focus on stressors that adults experience.
right.
But our young people, and we're going to particularly talk about our teenagers,
Okay.
are experiencing a lot of stressors. And that's something that you have done a lot of work on. When I look at a scale that's non-adult, I want to share this with you. At the top of the list is death of a parent,
Okay.
unplanned pregnancy, abortion, getting married, divorce of parents, acquiring a visible deformity,
Mm-hmm.
and then number 7 is fathering a child.
Wow.
Isn't
Wow.
that something?
That's
Oh,
that's heavy. That's very heavy, especially for the teen population who are still in development themselves, still
yes.
learning how to navigate being a teen and how to what their plans are going to be for adulthood. And then
Mhm,
all of these things can happen to cause that much more stress. And as well, something that a lot of people don't talk about, the beginning stages of depression. But we have to understand that they too have things going on in their lives. We as parents, we deal with everything. But
mhm.
as teens, especially in the school systems of today, they carry a lot of weight and they have a lot of things pulling at them as well. So yes, I agree with you 100%.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, teen fathers. Teen fathers are facing unique challenges.
Yes,
And we
they
were
are.
just saying that grief is any change in familiar pattern of behavior. That's when we grieve.
That
And
is.
so when a teenager shifts from boyhood
Mm-hmm.
to fatherhood, that's a change in a familiar pattern of behavior. So tell us about how you got into this, into this work, as well as a little bit about the importance of this topic?
Well, I got into this work because over the years, I've dealt with a lot of those challenges and stressors. As
Hmm.
a teen, I became a father at the age of 16, and that was a brand new understanding of life that I had no imagination of what it was going to do. The weight that you carry,
Hmm.
more importantly, the weight that others put on you by ignoring you or excluding you from the conversation. And so,
Mm.
as a teen father, most of the time, the teen father is not even discussed. It's always
Yes.
what's happening with this teen mother or teen young lady who's now pregnant, and the father's left out of the equation. But we have to understand that he too, that teen father, is pregnant just as much as that teen mother is. And
Mhm.
so, because of that, going through that experience and dealing with it over the years, I'm helping and talking to others. I've been able to really put together what I hope is a helpful book to help that teen population understand what they may be about to deal with and then how to navigate it.
Hmm. Oh, that's so good. I see Erica is joining us. Thank you so much, Erica. Billy joining us from Richmond, Virginia. Thank you for your support.
Yes.
Natalie Pierce
Well,
Edwards. That's a familiar last name. So
I
glad
think,
that you're joining in. Thank you for your
so.
support and being a part of this conversation, as well as Samantha Dabney. So
Yes.
glad that you're joining us from Varina in Virginia. Yes, excellent, excellent. So, you something you hit upon, Mr. Edwards, has to do with teen fathers and some of the losses they experience.
Yeah.
Often they no support. The focus often is more on preparing for the
For the
baby that's
baby.
coming, or supporting the mother, and
Mhm.
and for that father, there's almost a disconnectedness. He's
Yeah.
disconnected with what's going on in this situation, as
Hmm.
well as he's now disconnected with the world as he knew it, his
Yes.
friends, his
Yes.
buddies.
He's totally disconnected because
Hmm.
what happens is he becomes considered the reason for the pregnancy.
Hmm.
Is his fault.
Right.
Even though the two of them came together, he is considered his fault. So there's a disconnection there. And then without including him in the conversation on the normal manner of conversation, preparation, and the things to come, what the baby's going to need, and how to provide, without including him in those conversations, you begin to give him a door of escape that he can use to say, well, you left me out, so I'm going to walk away. And we have to close that door because he has the same responsibility that she has. He's fully responsible for the upbringing and the well-being of that child.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Erica says, "Ooh, that's true." You know, we often try to say it's his fault,
Yeah.
or and then often when we find or believe that it's someone's fault, we want
Mm-hmm.
to make them pay.
Yes.
Now think about it. We want to make him pay. It's his fault, and we believe that, well, he, this whole fatherhood, he needs to pay up. Even from a monetary perspective,
Yeah.
we're thinking that this 16-year-old, well, he needs to pay for this. Yeah.
But what you miss is the opportunity to coach him so that he
Yes.
can pay forward. And that was something that I found um, in dealing with talking to others. There's not a whole lot of support for that teen father. He doesn't get the information that he could use to help him navigate school as well as providing for the child and his future beyond high school. And so it's very important that we spend some time and take some resources to give him that support and help him understand his responsibility and then direct him in how to meet that responsibility.
This is so good. We are talking with Sylvester Edwards. He is the author of Teen Sex
Yeah.
Adult Responsibility. And we are having a great conversation, even in
Yeah.
honoring fathers as we prepare for Father's Day, but
Mhm.
honoring fathers all the time, not just once a year, but honoring at the men that have been called and established to be fathers.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the work that you do as far as providing that coaching, Mr. Edwards, if you would.
So at this time, I'm a master life coach. I'm open to coaching young men in many areas of life, especially teen fathers. And so I take the time to talk to them, to connect them with resources, to share my experience so that they can understand they're not the first one who had to go through this. They're not the first one who's had to meet this challenge, but the challenge can be met. And
Mhm.
so the book that I've written, as well as my conversation and even some counseling that I do via Facebook with a teen group that I'm a part of there, helping teen parents and the teen parents understand how to be a resource, how to coach, how to
Mhm.
prepare, and then what avenues to take so that they're successful in being a parent as well as successful in life.
Excellent. Well, now I think that's really important. You bring up parents.
Hmm?
So, what are some tips that you give parents? You know that, and I'm talking about who now becomes grandparents, because so now
Yes.
you got another layer of loss and grief that's going on
Yeah.
because all of a sudden parents, and because as we typically see it, it's not a planned, often it's not a planned pregnancy. You
Correct.
know, it's
Correct.
unanticipated, unexpected,
Yes.
and now you have um parents who
Hmm.
are becoming grandparents and didn't see it coming. So
And
what are you speaking to them? What are you saying to them?
to them, the first thing I tell them is they're responsible to pray. That's the largest responsibility that they have. They have to pray for themselves because there's a new level of responsibility that's being given to them that they didn't ask for, or at least they didn't ask for it that early. As well as there's also a level of responsibility now that their child is now taken on, and the child's partner is taken on. And so the
Mhm.
first responsibility is to pray. Prayer should always be the first thing, the second thing, and the third thing that we do. After that, I also instruct them to seek help, seek counseling, because counseling is a huge resource that we often, especially as the African American community, overlook. And so counseling would be helpful to the parent and the teen parent. And then we also talk about resources that are available and how to navigate through the different channels of becoming a teen parent, even though that child is not quite here yet. Preparation, mental, preparation, physical, preparation, financial, it all becomes a part of it, as well as the preparation when in the spiritual, because the spiritual becomes a huge factor. You're now responsible for your spirit being, but now a child is coming into the world. You need to know how to teach that child how to pray. You need to know how to teach that child that faith does work, the responsibilities of being committed to a God fearing church. It's so much that you have to teach. And oftentimes, some parents haven't taken that time to teach that to their children because they were never a part of a church. And so it becomes a lot to really go over with and share. And
Mm.
I'm really happy to share it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you bring in the local church.
Uh-huh.
So what is it? And because of the work that I do, I often see that their churches, especially during this season, are desiring more information, more support, more resources.
Hmm.
Whether it's the church or whether it's our educational system, our schools. What is it? What would you say? Are you able to provide those organizations, those groups of people?
I think that I'll be able to provide them understanding
Mm-hmm.
of how to deal with teen parents in their congregation. The first thing you have to do is don't exclude them. Don't just cut them off and leave them on their own. You have to first embrace them and love on them and give them a resource that they can come back to, that they can someone they can talk to, someone
Mm-hmm.
who can listen to their heart and then help them understand that you can make it, you can do this, and we're here to help, we're here to support you. Give them support financially if needed down the road, but more important than finances, they may need support in products for the child, whether it's
Mhm.
milk, whether it's Pampers, whether it's a crib. We never know, but the church has the resources to make sure that if that parent is in a lack state, that we can bring them up to even ground, and then they have an even run for a platform that they can run with to be successful parents, as well as helping them understand education is still vitally important.
Mm-hmm.
College is a must. It's not even a want anymore. College is a must. So we have to help them prepare for that and support them in that financially as well, if needed. So it's just a lot of different things. Connect them with resources in the community and connect them with a mentor in the church. That
Mm-hmm.
one person that they can always go to, even when the pastor's not available, who will be there to support them, love them, and then push them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. So, uh, Miss Clarissa Law, thank you for joining us, Clarissa. She says, I was a teen mother and have been passionate about teen mothers for years because I did not have resources. It is good to know that resources are available for teen fathers. That is so true. That is, I
It's
mean, you're doing an incredible work, Mr. Edwards.
But if I
And
could, I would like to echo to her that there are resources there for teen mothers as well.
mhm,
A lot of the same resources, but resources are there for teen mothers, and so a lot of teen mothers don't get that support, family support, church support, but there are resources there for them as well.
right, right. So when um you were talking about as I'm going to go back to the church because I know that you do quite a bit in ministry, and from that vantage point, how can we assist the those who are have been a part of a church, of the church body, and they're wondering, okay, how can we help these teens? Maybe the parents are not involved, or as you said, the
Mhm.
parents might not be at church. What are some things that we can do to educate our faith leaders?
Sit down and conversate with them so that they understand the dynamics of teen
Mhm.
pregnancy, because
Excellent.
it's not just something that happened. There are dynamics here. As you would say, there are scales and layers that have to be dealt with, and things uncovered a little at a time. You can't just uncover everything and say, oh, here it is. But there has to be an understanding, even for leaders, they have to deal with talking to those teens and counseling those teens. And so they have to have the mental for that. I would suggest that they take a class on counseling, especially teens. That
Mhm.
would be huge for church leaders. So when teens come to them with any problem, challenge, issue, or conversation, they'll know how to talk to them, how to listen to them, and then how to direct them.
Mm, wow, this is so good. This is so good. Uh, and Clarissa Law, who is a counselor,
Mm-hmm.
and she says, yes, now I am a resource. I was
Very
a
good.
teen
Very
mother in 1984. So, you can't keep it unless you give it away. So I think that's really so tremendously important. And thank you for sharing that, Clarissa. Um, and we are speaking with Mr. Sylvester Edwards. He is an author, he's a mentor, he's a coach, he's a ministry leader, but the focus is teen sex, adult responsibility. Teen
Yeah.
sex, adult responsibility. We're going to take a brief break
All right.
and and come back with a few last comments about how we can motivate and encourage
Yeah.
um, others who are addressing or need to address this important conversation.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are part of today's Navigating Grief and Loss. One of the things that I get asked so often is, so how might I have you to come and speak to my organization, speak to my classroom? Um, how can I connect you with my human resource officer? It's real simple, real easy. That is something that I do quite often, especially during this season where our young people, and as we've already discussed, we recognize that our young people are experiencing a lot of challenges. Our young people are grieving. Our young people are having a lot of losses, loss of safety, the fear of going to school, loss of trust, some intangible losses as well as tangible losses. Um, for the young people who are experiencing their siblings leaving for college. That's a loss. Yeah. Any change in a familiar pattern of behavior. So, if you would like for me to come and speak with your group, your organization, to your class, whether it's from an educational perspective or to do some activities, something experiential, that's my website right there. Reach out to me, okay? Reach out to me, and I will gladly get in contact with you, and I will be more than happy to either virtually or, if possible, in person make that happen. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to remind you of, many of you have asked me. Now, it was a last year about this time you were talking about a book or books. And I'm glad that some of you remember that. Some of you purchased the books, and some of you have asked me about those books. Wanted to share that with you. So, my dear friend, Dr. Tyrese McAllister, she lost her daughter due to the hands of gun violence. And her daughter's nickname was Lollipop. Ayana was really a special, special young lady. And Tyrese recognized that something was needed, a resource was necessary for the young people who were grieving, for the children who knew Ayana. And she, at that point, decided to write Is My Lollipop in Heaven? A beautifully written and illustrated children's book. It's a wonderful way to open a conversation, to start a conversation with young people. Yeah, reading to our young people. Then she and I met, and she asked me if I would be a part of this project, and I was honored. She said, as a grief specialist, as the person who does a lot of work with grievers, she asked me to assist her in writing a caregiver's guide. So this is for the adults. This is for the adults who are supporting our young people. So this goes along with it. Is My Lollipop in Heaven? And this caregiver's guide, too hard to bite, but not too hard to lick. It shares what to look for, what kind of questions children ask. What is suicide? Why did that person take my family member from me? Those questions that often we might not necessarily know all of the answers, but it guides us in having that conversation. Reach out to me if you're interested in having me to speak, or if you're interested in purchasing those books. I will be glad to spend time with you as well as to share with you. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap things up. I'm going to bring Mr. Sylvester from the virtual green room, and he's going to come back sharing with us.
Yes.
So one of the important tips that we like to share, and goals of navigating grief and loss, is that we want to motivate, encourage, and influence people.
Okay.
And that's something you do all the time, Mr. Edwards. But 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 what would be a couple of things that you would like to leave with the audience today, to that will motivate them, encourage them, or influence them in addressing this important issue of teen sex and adult responsibility?
Well, the first thing that I would say is understand that even though you are a teen parent or you're about to become a teen parent, life does not end there.
Mm,
The world is still in the palm of God's hand, and anything that you want, you can obtain, you can become. Keep pushing. Education is crucial. College is crucial. Ensure that you set your life so that you and your child will enjoy the best things in life. Not necessarily trying to reach for things, but being able to provide, being able to be happy, to experience things that a lot of times the Black community don't get to experience, like traveling around the world. Things are like that. You shouldn't have to wait until you're 50 to do it. But when you have a child, you also have to make sure you include them in the equation. So I would say definitely education, have fun in this process. Make sure that you build in vacations and ways to have fun. Something that my mom always used for us was what she called teaching moments. find those teaching moments and teach your child, as well as allow the leaders in your life to find teaching moments to teach you. And then never stop pushing, never give up. Reach your goals because they're there waiting for you. God put them in place. It's just up to you to go through the process to get to them. And when you get there, turn back and thank God for all that He's done for you. I promise you, it's all His doing. That's my encouragement.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You,
And Miss Erica, she has some final words. She said the church can also be open and create a judgment free environment where teens feel open and safe. I'm going to add that, Erica,
mm-hmm.
to have these conversations. That is
Very important.
so very true.
Very
So, so well said. So well said. Yes. And Miss Clarissa said, amen to all of that. She said that is so very true. And I thank you for each one of you. You've given
yes.
some great comments. Thank you, Chavette. Chavette even commented. She commented that as far as my speaking, yes, I was a part of Charvette Mitchell's pop-up conference. So
Yes.
I'm so glad. And I actually, Mr. Edwards, that's how you and I met. There was
Yes.
a authors showcase,
Mm-hmm.
and Ms. Charvette Mitchell was a part of that. And so
Yes.
we are excited about all of the work that you're doing. We thank you so
Thank you.
much for sharing your time, your gifts, and your talents
Thank you
with
so much.
us, but also with so many
Yes.
young men and young women
Mm-hmm.
who need your support and encouragement.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackie. Maxwell, I was more than happy to meet you, finding out that you know my daughter, my son, my grandchildren. And so it just bound us together as friends immediately. So
Immediately.
I'm here anytime I can be of help. Let me know, and I'll do everything I can to help you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. And I can't leave without saying Happy Father's Day.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Okay. Take care.
All right.
Bye bye. All right. Thank you so much for joining in for another episode of Navigating Grief and Loss. As we so often do, we recognize that many of you want to reach out. Go to the website. I would love to have a conversation with you. I look forward to speaking with you. I look forward to sharing with you. I'm looking forward to you reaching out to jacklavelle.com. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.